What's up, guys? um, Feeling a little weird right now. I was watching some news, and I saw some things. Um, I guess I figured I'd share it with you. Just watched a little bit of it, and I stopped it. I wanted to react to it uh, on here. Um, the world's in a weird place right now. A lot of people are in a weird place, in turmoil. The world's in turmoil. A lot of people are angry. I don't think they know at what or why. Um, anyway, a lot of craziness happening right now, and just watching some news. I watch a lot of different video. I watch a lot of different platforms for information and news and everything. But anyway, I just want to share this with you, and we could talk about it. Maybe it'll help us out. Here we go.
Well, it protects leftists at their temples where they conduct human sacrifice and where they conduct their own kind of religious cult ceremonies. And then it protects, the actual religious ceremonies of Christians, supposedly. Because by the same token, with the same legal force, it's supposed to protect Christians when they go to their actual places of worship, their actual churches. That's supposedly what it's meant to do. Now, that means that if we're still pretending that the rule of law means anything, well, FBI SWAT teams need to immediately conduct pre-dawn raids on the homes of everybody involved in the act of domestic terrorism that took place on Sunday at a Baptist church called Cities Church in St. Paul near Minneapolis. This was an attack that was infinitely worse, of course, than any peaceful pro-life demonstration at any abortion clinic has ever been.
My grandfather was
It's an
a
effort
Baptist
by
preacher.
anti-American communists, not simply to interfere with Americans' First Amendment rights, but also to wage war on Christianity and religion in general, which is always everywhere the primary nemesis of communists. Marxists want you loyal to the state, not to God. The pro-lifers at the abortion clinics, on the other hand, they weren't seeking to dismantle Western civilization or prevent society from functioning. They were trying to save babies. On the other hand, this is what the left is doing, trying to dismantle Western civilization and what it's founded on, which is the Christian religion. For some reason. Now, acting on the assumption that the pastor of the church worked with ICE, leftist rioters stormed into the church as people sat in the pews and began screaming and intimidating everybody inside. So they went inside the building during the church service. Watch.
Only a demon would do that.
Renee good! Renee good! Renee good! Renee good!
If this doesn't make your blood boil,
Hands up! Don't shoot! Don't shoot! Don't shoot!
they're in here screaming about Renee Good.
So, and by the way, even without the FACE Act, what you just saw there would still violate like 12 different laws.
Yes.
You cannot barge inside of a building and do a protest.
No, you're that's
there are valid places
peace,
where you can conduct protests, not inside a building where people are trying to do something else, and in this case, trying to worship. But before we get back to the law here,
that's something like a minimum or limited public forum, and I don't know. There's a whole thing, but no, you can't riot and protest inside of a business, a church, these types of things. Especially a church. That's not even like state property. The
many laws that were violated. You heard them there shouting, "Hands up, don't shoot." So the leftists brought back some of the classic hoaxes in addition to the hoaxes that they invented last week. Now, we know that "Hands up, don't shoot," lest we forget, was invented after Michael Brown roughed up a store owner, then charged at a police officer, attacked him, and tried to take his gun.
I truly believe they're
There's no evidence whatsoever that Brown
Possessed?
ever said, hands up, don't shoot,
There's
before the
demonic
officer
possession
defended
involved
himself.
here. There's
The alleged witnesses who claimed otherwise were not
straight
credible,
up brainwashing.
either because they changed their story after the fact
our
or because they
government's
explicitly
fucked.
recanted
Our
their
government.
claim. Both of those things happened. There's no dispute about it. Michael Brown was shot to death while he was trying to murder a police officer. That's why there was blood all over the inside door panel of the officer's car. There was blood on the officer's firearm and uniform. That's why the officer had cuts on his neck. And you'll see exactly what I mean. An illegal alien will make a random accusation like, ICE stole a 10th grader's phone, then seemingly sold it for cash. Terrorism at the church, which is what it was.
About the civil rights movement was about these very kinds of protests. There's nothing in the Constitution
and this is
that
this
tells
schmuck
you
Don Lemon
what time you can protest.
giving his 2 cents that nobody cares about.
To disrupt, to make uncomfortable. And that's what they're doing. And that's what I believe when I say everyone has to be willing to sacrifice something.
He's saying protests are meant to make people uncomfortable. No, they're not. They're meant to raise awareness, to get your voice heard, to be on a platform where your voice is louder. It's not to disrupt society. Where is this guy from? But they shoot Charlie Kirk.
Have to make people uncomfortable in these times. If you see how uncomfortable people uncomfortably.
I mean, everything that he just said there is absolute nonsense, of course. The whole point of a protest is to disrupt.
Absolute nonsense.
There's nothing that says where you can't protest. There's like a lot of laws that stipulate that, actually. And there are many forms of disruption that are illegal. But this is just the beginning, says Don Lemon. You could expect more churches to be raided by BLM because, after all, the point of protest is to make people uncomfortable. According to Don Lemon, you don't actually have a right to worship or a right to peaceful, orderly society at all. It's just like the civil rights movement, he claims. The civil rights movement, he says, was about precisely these kinds of protests. And that's a claim, by the way, that really makes you think.
If these people don't awaken the spirit inside of you, then you're a demon too. You can't even side with these people on one word of their ideology. Or you're a demon. Only a demon would do what those people did and try to justify it, as Don Lemon has. That guy is straight up demon. He's a homosexual. He is everything that is against the Bible and God and American Christianity.
Not the way that Don Lemon intends you to think. In particular, it makes you wonder if maybe Donald Trump was right when he points out,
Preacher, did Jesus wear a suit? Did Jesus profit off the words? No.
Look at this
Jesus
guy.
would dine with immigrants.
Look at this guy.
is telling us there, which is very interesting. According to Lemon, this is basically,
Thing for your Latino and Somali brothers and sisters. You come here to a man wearing a suit. Is a preacher? Did Jesus wear a suit? Did Jesus profit off the words? No. Jesus would
Look
dine
at
with
this
immigrants.
schmuck loser. Only a demon would do that in church. A demonic entity of the underworld, a minion of Lucifer, That's what that is. That's what these people are.
Well, I mean, I'll just say if Don Lemon is right and that's what the civil rights movement was, then in that case, it would mean that we shouldn't have listened to a word those people had to say. It's even true.
We're here to worship. We're here to worship Jesus because that's the hope of these cities.
Amen.
That's the hope of the world is Jesus Christ.
I want to be very respectful. Please don't push me, though.
We're here to worship
What a
Jesus. That's why we're
fucking
here.
scumbag.
That's why we're here.
There, he went on to berate another pastor in the church, not the alleged ICE employee, which I don't even know if the claim about the pastor working with ICE is true. It doesn't matter, but who knows if that's even true. No reason to think that it is. But he berates the pastor about how the First Amendment supposedly protects his right to commit federal crimes. Watch.
What do you think of this?
I mean, this is unacceptable. It's shameful. It's shameful to interrupt a public
Absolutely
gathering
shameful
of Christians
for-
in worship. So,
But there were folks who will
that's what, I have to take care of my
But there is no
We live
but,
in- there's a
Don.
Constitution and the First Amendment to freedom of speech and freedom to assemble and protest.
We're here to
Not in a
we're here to
church.
worship Jesus because
Not
that's
in
the
a
hope of these cities. That's the hope
church.
of the world is Jesus Christ.
I want to be very respectful. Please don't push
You
me.
don't get to disrupt.
We're here to worship Jesus. That's why we're here.
Amen.
Okay? That's why we're here. That's what we're about.
Do you think Jesus would be understanding? And
We're about
Shut
we're
the
about-
hell up,
We're
dude.
about spreading the love of Jesus.
but did you try to talk to them as a
No
Christian?
one is willing to
You
talk.
can't stop
Okay.
Jesus,
I have
Don.
to take care of my church and my
can't
family,
stop
so I asked that
Jesus.
you actually would also leave this building.
You don't want us to
Unless you're here to
chronicle what
worship.
happened?
Unless you're here to worship.
I'm always worship. I'm a Christian.
We're here to worship. We're here to worship. Okay.
Then go over there and worship, Don. Give your life to Christ.
Guy here, look, hugging his kid.
Look at this slimy.
And you know, I've
scumball.
imagined it's uncomfortable and traumatic for the people here. But again, careful. It's very slippery right here.
Yeah.
It's uncomfortable and
what
traumatic for the people here. But that's what
A
really
man who just
careful,
lives
please.
in sin.
Really slippery. Not kidding.
Careful, please. Shut up.
That's what protesting is
He
about.
doesn't care
And
about
so,
anybody. He doesn't care about anything or anybody.
I mean, the pastor, I thought, was very impressive with how he handled this.
Yes.
He wasn't rattled. And
He
so
tried to get
very
him to go
commendable.
worship.
I will also say that if the pastor had taken the exact opposite approach and just punched that
I wasn't
despicable,
gonna say it.
dumb little punk right in his face, right in his
I
smarmy,
wasn't
ugly
going to say
face,
it, but thank
then
you,
he would have
Matt,
been totally
for saying it.
justified in doing that.
Yep.
I'm not
Amen.
calling for violence at all. I'm just saying if he had done that, he would have been totally justified.
Why not?
100%.
They're calling for violence. They're killing us.
Certainly morally.
They tried to shoot our
It
president
would have been.
twice. They killed one of our
And the
great
angels
leaders,
of heaven would
Charlie
have
Kirk.
rejoiced to see it, frankly. Because you don't owe these people anything. Don Lemon says, why don't you talk to them? Why don't you talk? First of all, yeah, that's what you do when you want to talk. So you've got a mob of people screaming lies.
The preacher said
And
they don't
that's
want
how
to
you
talk. He
and you're
tried.
supposed to talk. What
They
do you mean?
just kept-
How can I talk to them? How can I talk to them?
They just kept repeating the same stupid phrase over and over that they think that guy said. If you watch this video, you'll know what I'm talking about. They just kept repeating a phrase that that some guy never even said.
I've got a mob of people,
These
all
people
of
are
them with IQs
lunatics.
under 70. How am I going to, what do you mean talk to them? How can
Right.
I talk? And more importantly, it's not, you're as a pastor of the church, it's not his job. Like you came here to disrupt, you say it yourself. It's not my job to explain myself to you.
Right.
And you can't have it both ways. Yeah, we're here to disrupt. It can't be, we're here to disrupt and we just want to have a conversation. Well, which is it? Do you want to have a conversation or do you want to
Exactly.
disrupt? Because if you want to disrupt, then we don't owe you anything. And there's no conversation to be had.
And you should go to
The
jail.
only option is to meet your force with force of our own. Because this, by the way, barging into a church like that is a violent act, inherently.
Agreed. Yeah, I agree.
You want to have a conversation with this pastor, you know what you would do? You'd wait till the service is over. You wait till he comes outside. He's greeting his congregants
Even out
as they leave. You
front
come
on
up
the
respectfully,
steps
not a
on the
whole mob
public
of you
sidewalk,
screaming.
That's not
One person would come up and
appropriate
you'd
place to
ask whatever question you want to ask.
protest and say your thing.
So anyway, Don Lemon says it's traumatic
Have a
for the
sense of-
children and the families, and apparently that
Have a sense of decorum and decency. These leftist libtards show none of that. They have no decency or humanity whatsoever. They repeatedly, over and over and over, show that they're the exact opposite.
That's what protesting is all about. Protesting is all about. Really, so I guess, protesting is all about making people uncomfortable. It's about disrupting. And Don Lemon says there's nothing in the Constitution that stipulates, where or when protests are allowed to occur. Because the Constitution doesn't go through an exhaustive list of all of the places in the universe where protesting is okay and compare it with a list of where it's not. Because the Constitution doesn't do that, that means you can protest any way you want, anywhere you want. That's what Don Lemon is saying. In which case, I think Don Lemon would really support it and be perfectly fine if a bunch of those fabled MAGA Republicans barged into Don Lemon's multi-million-dollar home in New York and began screaming as loud as they possibly could. I'm early in the morning, drag his ass out of bed, frog march him in front of cameras. And I know you might say, well, that's what he wants because he's just begging for attention, and that's true. But then you got to follow it up by actually putting him in prison for a long time. And he shouldn't be the only one. A former NAACP executive named Nakima Levy Armstrong led the riot and live streamed the proceedings. Watch.
Is a pastor here. He is also the director of the field office for ICE in St. Paul. So someone who claims to worship God, teaching people in this church about God, is out there overseeing ICE agents. Think about what we've experienced. The murder of Renee Good at the hands of ICE. A Venezuelan national shot by ICE. A 6-month-old baby who almost died as a result of ICE unleashing military-grade weapons on our community. How dare you claim to be a...
I can't even listen to any more of this. It's sickening. I just had to share. There's still 48 minutes left of this nonsense. Look. Fucking disgusting. Help me out, guys. I know y'all are feeling similar, just helpless and like, what the hell is going on?
A woman claims that she drove her 6-month-old child into that lawless situation.
And then this guy, let's see.
They don't control federal law enforcement. These people spend every waking moment of their lives dreaming about assuming control of federal law enforcement agencies so they can use them to crush their political enemies. All their complaints about ICE amount to projection, probably the most profound case of projection in modern American history. As if to illustrate that point, just a few weeks ago, Tim Walz warned that ICE would be raiding churches. Yes, ICE would be raiding churches. He says, not the Antifa BLM mobs, but law enforcement agents. Watch.
So I would fully expect, and we are preparing for, an influx of more agents, more of the very visible public theatrics of the...
Why is this guy able to put on a suit and come stand here and talk? How is that still possible? With all these idiots standing behind him in support of him. How is he not in prison? What the hell?
Raids of the harassments. And You got faith leaders here. I would not put it past this administration to target midnight mass services amongst folks going to worship.
Un-American.
Now, again, they're always guilty of whatever they accuse you of doing. They badly want to be cruising the streets, pulling people over for no reason, ripping families out of churches, throwing their political opponents in the back of vans.
What do you mean, probably?
And if you still doubt that, listen to this scanner traffic from inside Will Stansel's vehicle. He films himself harassing some random vehicle for about 20 minutes, honking his horn the whole time. And this time he's harassing a pickup truck. And you can hear as he tails this vehicle on the streets of Minneapolis that he's listening to various Antifa LARPers communicate with one another, like they're police officers, about the locations of potential ICE activity. Watch.
This right here is what Renee Good was doing and who she was communicating with. That's why she's dead. What brain cell do you have makes you think that everything will be okay if you go stand in the way and disrupt the operations of federal agents? We didn't act like this when Obama was there, and we hated it, and he didn't do nothing except divide us and you know, talk to Oprah and have Beyonce concerts at the White House and all this. When Biden was there, just weekend at Bernie's, you know, for 4 years. You didn't see us normal people acting this way.
This is Liz. We're heading south on Lake Street for Bryant, so we'll let you know. What are you passing right now? We're right by Bryant and 32nd.
What are you passing right now? These people are idiots, you know. They don't even have like codes, or they talk like they're in, you know, they're in high school, you know. They got walkie-talkies for the first time, and where are you at? We're just like, and that's such a woman too, you know. Don't give a street address or nothing. Are you by the McDonald's, by the whatever? Stupid. I hope we can get our country back, you know. This shit sucks. Seeing shit like this, seeing people act a fool. What makes an American born here, you know, these white liberal women, white liberal men grew up here. What makes them think and have the brain? What makes them think like you know, a Somalian or an Indian? So some guy from a Muslim country. What makes them think like that and have that mentality? How what kind of brainwashing or you know, program turns you into a traitor like that? You're a traitor. These people are ruining our country. And half of y'all are advocating for it or fighting for it. Almost like you were born in Nigeria or Saudi Arabia or Iraq. Almost like you were born there, and you have a passion to fight for the Iraqis. Where's that passion for your own country? Where's that passion to keep your own country from getting taken over? You don't see it now, but if it keeps going this way, one day you're going to pray for the day you wake up on Christmas morning and you know, you just wish you had that normal 1955 Christmas and 4th of July all over again. But it's never going to be there because you're pushing it off a cliff, and it's never going to be able to be taken back. Let's just talk to each other about it and try to stay positive. Write what you think in the comments. We'll react to some more videos all the time. So let's just stay positive and keep fighting for our country. So I do want to mention, go check out my online store. Help me out, support me. nickel-dimes-2.myshopify.com. nickel-dimes-2.myshopify.com. That will